Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about the incredibly convoluted process that led to the creation of this custom sloped lava that I made for my latest Super Mario Bros. Wonder level. If you're watching this and haven't seen my previous custom object creation video, I'd recommend you check that out first because I won't be repeating any information. Also, I'm going to say some variation of the words lava slope about a million times in this video, so get ready for that. Alright, so Super Mario Bros. Wonder originally only features two lava slopes, this relatively gentle orange slope in Dragon Boneyard, and this much steeper green and purple slope in Evade the Seeker Bullet Bills. These sections rely on very specific lava slope objects that fade from normal lava to this different sloped lava material, and then to transition back to normal lava at the bottom, the designers actually just placed a new lava layer in front of the slope, which I honestly think looks really bad. Now, the plan for my level was to have the lava go up and down repeatedly, with flat sections in between, kind of like in the Super Mario World level Vanilla Dome 3. So not only did I need to make a custom uphill version of the lava slope object for my level, but I actually decided to just not rely on the original game's lava slope object whatsoever, because I wanted more flexibility. Now, I could have just made one giant custom object that formed the entire shape of my level's lava, but since I hadn't actually designed the level yet, that would have required a huge amount of planning and foresight. So I decided to create three variations of modular lava slope pieces that I could connect together. A downward slope piece, an upward slope piece, and a flat piece. In order to create these, I took the model used for the original game's lava slope and cut it down to be 10 tiles wide. Then I mirrored it for the upward slope and made a flat variation from scratch. Something unique I had to deal with in order to model these pieces is vertex colors. So 3D models consist of vertices, which are the points that we can connect to form shapes. The most common way to put information onto a shape is to slap a texture onto it, but another method is to provide data to each of these vertices, such as a color value. So vertex colors form gradients from different vertices based on the color data provided to each of these points, and this information can be stored and displayed over top of the usual texture information. That doesn't mean that these colors themselves necessarily have to be displayed, though they can also be used to indicate other information. For example, in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, vertex colors are used to make effects like these water edge ripples fade out on one side. So what does all of that have to do with the lava slopes? Well, looking at this model, how does the game know to render this lava edge effect on this part of the model? Or how does it know to fade out the model on the left here? All of that is done through vertex colors. In this case, the red is used to indicate to an in-game shader which vertices form the edge of the lava, and the black indicates which vertices form the lava center. So when I made these three modular lava slope pieces, I made sure to apply the appropriate vertex colors to the different parts of the models. Then I tried importing one of these lava slope objects into the game, and then I ran into a massive problem. Because, as it turns out, Switch Toolbox, the main Super Mario Bros. Wonder file editing program, doesn't properly import vertex colors for Super Mario Bros. Wonder models. Now, if you did as I asked and watched that previous video, you might be able to guess what the solution to this problem ended up being. Track Studio, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track editor, can also edit Super Mario Bros. Wonder files. And because, like I mentioned earlier, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe also makes use of vertex colors, Track Studio does actually import these correctly. So I imported the lava slopes using Track Studio, checked them out in-game, and was once again disappointed because what is going on here? Well, Track Studio wasn't exactly made with Super Mario Bros. Wonder's shader animations in mind, so those get corrupted when saving a file. Luckily, we can get around this quite easily by exporting an uncorrupted version of the shader animation ahead of time, and then importing this again afterwards using Switch Toolbox. So now all that was left was making these objects into their own individual actors, which I did by duplicating one of the original game's lava slopes and renaming it both externally and internally. So I turned map obj common lava slope A into map obj modular lava slope A, B, and C. I also had to give each of these actors unique collision, which I decided to do using a polytope shape. Polytopes are a handy collision type in Super Mario Bros. Wonder because they are simply a list of grid points which each get connected. It's a lot like the vertices of 3D models which I discussed earlier. The only major downside of polytopes is that no matter what, a line gets drawn from each point to all the other vertices. Meaning if you want to make a shape like this, for example, you can't do that using a polytope because lines get drawn even between the points that you wouldn't want to be connected. However, that problem isn't relevant in this case because the shapes of our lava slopes are super simple like this. So I converted those grid points into coordinates, which I inserted into each of the actor's collision parameters, and that should have meant the lava slopes were all finished. However, before I even started work on the custom level, I encountered a problem. So my idea for these objects was that I would put them all together, and because of the unique properties of the lava material, the wavy patterns of all the different pieces would all line up. However, I quickly discovered that that wasn't always the case. In order for the patterns to line up, all of the pieces of the lava slope have to be loaded at the exact same time. Luckily, Super Mario Bros. Wonder allows for groups of objects to be loaded simultaneously using a simultaneous group. So I thought I'd found the solution to the problem and started working on the level. However, because of the way I just said that sentence and the fact that this video isn't nearly over, you can guess that that wasn't actually the solution. But I'll get back to that in a little bit. First, I want to talk about the attributes of these objects we've created. So normal liquids in Super Mario Bros. Wonder are kind of limited. Sure, they can be moved up and down or whatever, but they can't be rotated. The game locks them to one of 4 directions at all times. The cool thing therefore about these lava slopes is that they aren't limited in that way whatsoever. So I made use of that during one of my level's bonus rooms and also during its Wonder effect. And even beyond that, I came up with a pretty cool use for these custom lava slopes that I'm hoping to put into one of my future custom levels. New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U both have one level that feature lava waves like these. In fact, in New Super Mario Bros. U, these can be customized in some pretty cool ways. And you guessed it, those lava waves can quite easily be recreated using my lava slopes. In fact, I can theoretically make lava formations in any shape I want now. Actually, the way these lava waves are rendered is very similar to Wonder's lava slopes. Both have this relatively simple consistent wave effect instead of the normal liquid's more varied waves with particles and stuff. I wish I could have made this wave effect move to the left for the uphill lava slopes, but obviously that would mean it wouldn't line up with the wavy pattern of the downhill lava slope. Also, weirdly, both the lava slope in the original game and my custom versions don't actually apply a glow effect onto other objects the way normal lava does. But I doubt basically anyone would have noticed that if I hadn't pointed it out. Alright, so what is the problem with keeping all of these lava slope objects loaded at the same time to make sure their animations line up? Well, surprisingly, it's not actually that this causes lag or anything. These objects have very simple models with very little associated code, so no, that isn't it. Instead, the problem is that lava slopes make noise. Sounds are a part of object configurations that I have no idea how to edit. They don't seem to be a part of the actor component parameters, so I'm guessing they're a part of every actor's internal code. Lava slopes create this appropriate rumbling noise, which would have been fine if it hadn't been for the fact that my level needed to have dozens of these objects loaded at the same time. After I was about a third of the way done with working on my level, when playtesting it in-game, I started noticing that certain sound effects weren't playing. Sometimes even the level's music would cut out altogether. At the time, I figured this was just some weird problem with my emulator, or maybe there was some internal file I'd messed with that accidentally caused this, but when this problem hadn't resolved itself by the time the level was finished, I quickly realized what was going on. Because all of these lava slope actors are loaded at the same time from the moment you enter the level, and all of these actors make sounds, Super Mario Bros. Wonder's sound engine gets overloaded and sort of breaks. Now, in hindsight, I could have possibly fixed this by turning some other object that doesn't make any sound into these lava slope pieces, though I don't know if that would have worked correctly with all of the different visual attributes of the lava slopes that I discussed earlier in this video. I also could have tried removing the lava rumble sound file altogether, though preferably I did actually want to keep the sound. So instead, I decided to do exactly what I tried to avoid doing when I first started working on this custom lava slope stuff, and turn all of the level's lava into one massive object. That way, there would only have to be a single noisy object loaded at all times, meaning the level sound shouldn't break. So I analyzed the shape that I had ended up creating out of the modular lava slope pieces for my level, and then remade that shape using the models of those pieces. I also made two other big lava shapes, one for this section of the level where the lava appears upside down, and one for the level's bonus rooms and the goal pole section. I created new actors for these pieces called Map OBJ Bespoke Lava Slope A, B, and C, and then came the most arduous part of this process, which was figuring out the collision for these massive things. Remember the polytope collision shape I mentioned earlier? Well, I first tried applying collision to this big lava slope object by making it one massive polytope. I figured out the coordinates of all of these different points and inserted those into the collision parameters. However, this is where that limitation of polytopes came into play, because these convex sections here were being covered up by unintended collision formed by lines that were drawn between these points like this. So I had to divide the object into multiple separate pieces of collision, because that would divide those convex sections in two, avoiding any unintentional collision from sticking out in places. When I placed my newly created singular lava slope object into the level, I had some problems getting it to load throughout the entirety of the level, which was a problem because that's why I made it a single object in the first place. It turns out that even simultaneous groups have a limit when it comes to how far away they can load an actor, so I had to dig into the object parameters to find out how to increase its loading range. It turns out that's controlled by these values in the files entries in the actor info and game actor info files in the RSDB folder. So when I upped the lava's loading range to something like 2000 tiles, that did the trick. And yeah, that's basically the end of the journey. That's how I made custom lava for my latest Super Mario Bros. Wonder level. The level also features some semi-custom enemies, namely these stationary Kerpops and this medium-sized Shoomp, but making those was pretty simple and comparable to what I discussed in the previous custom objects video, so the lava was the only thing I wanted to discuss in today's video. If you have any suggestions for other ways I might be able to turn the original game's actors into something custom, please let me know by leaving a comment. And while you're down there, maybe also consider leaving a like on the video, or subscribing, or checking out my Discord server, or becoming a channel member, or whatever you want. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye!